אנחנו נשארנו פה במלחמה בתקופה האחרונה.
During the war they were not evacuated, they refused to evacuate, which is quite rare.
As a Druze, like young man, and we saw all the wars that going on here. Like I'm ready to die for my country, and fought with my Jewish people.
Could an Arab Muslim living in the state of Israel, could them work their way up all the way to the top to eventually one day possibly even become Prime Minister of the state?
There is no legal limitations to be Prime Minister. There is no legal limitation to be the Chief of Staff. There is no legal limitation to be the head of the Supreme Court. It's based on your talent.
Avi Mini for TommyInIsrael.com, where we're following Tommy Robertson on his tour around this country on a fact-finding mission, and we're here to bring you exactly what he's actually doing. And today, we're in northern Israel, where he's visiting a Druze village.
And it's good to come on the ground, and it's good to speak to members of a minority group living in Israel who have lost 13 members of their community who have been murdered and killed during the conflict for Israel.
אתם מבקרים בכפר חורפיש, כפר דרוזי.
You're visiting Khurfesh, a Druze village.
יש 97% דרוזים ו3% נוצרים.
97% Druze, 3% Christians.
אנחנו פה חיים בשיתוף
Living
ביחד.
together side by side.
Yes. פה כל האוכלוסייה ישראלית, טהורה, אוהבת את המדינה.
Proud Israeli citizens love the state, love the country.
כולם חיילים,
All
קצינים.
soldiers, officers.
אנחנו נשארנו פה במלחמה בתקופה האחרונה.
During the war they were not evacuated, they refused to evacuate, which is quite rare.
לא עזבנו את הבית, כי המדינה כל כך חשובה לנו.
We're not leaving. We decided not to leave home because we were not willing to do it.
Because
the
morally,
because
the country is so important.
Standing. Yeah, unlike the nearby countries, which we don't judge at all.
How far are we from the border here?
How far are we from the border?
אנחנו במרחק של 2.5 קילומטר.
2.5 kilometers.
Yes.
You can see the base.
So just to point out, what we just heard is that all communities that were 5 kilometres, within 5 kilometres of the border, left and evacuated when the war started. This Druze community, 2.5 kilometres from the border, refused to leave. Okay? Refused to leave, which means they've stayed here, being bombed, coming under attack, refused to leave because of their belief and their dedication to the state that they live in, which is Israel, and their love for Israel.
And one thing you notice here is the patriotism on the flagpole, on the light.
You know, raise the colours in the UK. Well, on every lamppost and on the major road that brings into here, you've got the State of Israel flag, but you've got the Druze flag that represents them as well. I've seen around this country the State of Israel flag and the American flag. Raise the colours literally could have been taken, the concept taken from here. Because on lampposts from one end of Israel to the other, you've got representative flags representing all the different communities and celebrating their identity. So yeah, you're right, we're in a Druze village, which I think is 97% Druze minority with 3% Christian population. So, but as the thing is, when you hear from them, they're loyal to the state of Israel. And they're grateful to the state of Israel for giving them a place of safety and opportunity.
My name is Ayan. I'm a law student, and I will told you about Israeli community and the Druze community in Israel. So that Druze community is a small community in Israel, and it's about 1.5 million people.
There's 1.5 million Druze
in the Middle East.
In the Middle East, and that's between here, Syria, and
and
Lebanon.
In Israel, the Druze community has died fate. They fought side to side with each other, and they before the establishment of the state of Israel. And as a Druze, young man, and we saw all the wars that going on here. I'm ready to die for my country, and fought with my Jewish people. It's like a sense of education, values, and pride, all with that.
So you're 19-year-old, you're Druze, you're not a Jew, but you're willing to give your life for the state of Israel?
Right.
For what reason?
First of all, they gave us all the rights to be in the army and the state herself. Like we like go in the army and we go to the top things, and like we live like a normal guys. No, and,
When you say you live like normal guys, do you, as a Druze,
yeah,
feel that you are treated any differently in this country than a Jew?
no,
You don't.
no.
What about to the people in England then? Because we hear a lot in the UK to say that there's mass discrimination against anyone that's not Jewish in the state of Israel.
מה אתה עונה למי שאומר שיש אפליה קשה נגד הדרוזים במדינת ישראל, ואל תסתכל על הטלפון שלנו? מי שלא יהודי, לא רק דרוז. תגיד.
I don't think there's any difference or anything.
Not for you.
Yeah,
And you're a law student, studying law?
yeah.
What do you want to be?
Just a lawyer. Yeah.
Not a judge.
Well, good luck with your studies,
Thank
son.
you.
We're now entering, I understand, is the cemetery.
Yeah.
For the military cemetery. When I say military cemetery, because in the IDF you may be surprised if you're in Great Britain or in Europe to understand that it's not a Jewish army. It's an army for the citizens from the state of Israel, and you have Christians, you have Jews, obviously majority Jews, majority Jew nation. You have Christians, you have Jews, you have Muslims, and you have Druze. All of them coming together to defend their homeland, and their homeland is the state of Israel.
Jawad Amer was combat soldiers, served not far away from here on the border. He was a radio man of a senior commander, colonel, who also was killed, lieutenant colonel, who was also was in this incident with Hezbollah on the border in a small Bedouin village called Arab El Aramsha. And in this battle with the terrorists, we've lost Lieutenant Colonel, תזכיר את השם שלו? ג'וואד אקסי, and the commander, the Lieutenant Colonel. הוא נהרג עם...
עם עלים.
Alim was Alim Said was the Lieutenant Colonel, and Jawad Amer, the radio man. He is from this village, was born here, and died at the age of 23.
And you can see it's all Arabic and Hebrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you can see something which is interesting. Mahmoud Khaireddin was high-rank officers in a top unit of the IDF. He fell in battle in the heart of Gaza before the war. Like it was a camouflaged special operation, and unfortunately the force was exposed by Hamas, and Mahmoud fell in battle. And you can see here that he received a Medal of Honor from the Chief of Staff.
So we say that he was undercover, a sort of undercover unit,
Yeah.
blending in as Palestinians, as part of that.
Naturally, because they control the language, Arabic language, understand the culture. Many Bedouins and Druze serves in the most secret and top units that we have. But they have an advantage naturally in understanding the nature, the language, the culture.
They also take a massive risk.
Yeah, and that's massive is an understatement, and to get the Medal of Honor from the Chief of Staff, that's a very rare situation. So this is a national hero, and most of the Israelis have heard about Mahmoud Khaireddin and his story in Gaza previous to the current war. Here we have a police commander. His name is Kamil Shanan, and you can see that in 2017 there was a terror attack by a Muslim terrorist on Temple Mount. Kamil and his friend Ahel Sitawi was also a Jew. Yes. They were both securing the perimeter to make sure everything goes quiet in Temple Mount, and a terrorist came and shot them. And on top of what we spoke about, the military, the war, etc., there are also heroes that fell in battle against terrorism previous to the war, like Kamil Shanan. His father, Mahmoud Shanan, was a Knesset member. של שקיב שאנן. שקיב, סליחה. Sorry. His father, Shakib, was a Knesset member. He's also here from this village. So that's a well-known family, the family Shanan family.
Can I ask you something then? Because there's an image that's portrayed back home that Israel is an ethno-state, okay, for Jews. So understanding what you're telling me here is there's a Druze lad here who's lost his life. He was high ranking in the police. His other relative was in the Knesset, as in the Israeli government. Can anyone being born in the state of Israel, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, any background, can they work their way up in military, in government? Can they become judges? Can they become? Tell me.
Let's speak about a very famous warrior from the Druze community. He obviously won't do an interview in his position now. His name is Ayub, and Ayub was the commander of Shaldag, which is one of the top elite units of the IDF. The unit was known during the war for the raid on Masayev, which was underground base, Iranian base, to produce accurate missiles that needed to be thrown at us. And this unit came, landed nearby with helicopters, and destroyed the perimeter in Masayev, the underground perimeter, led by Shaldag unit. The commander of the unit, not during the war, but before, was Ayub. Later on, Ayub became the commander of a brigade, Golani Brigade. I had the honor to serve in Golani, and I knew Ayub from our service in Golani. And that's a very high rank. Okay, we're speaking at a colonel. Later on, he became the commander of Menashe in Samaria. He was very famous during the war because he was injured in an incident. He was in hospital, and he came back to his soldiers a day after. That's quite rare. And he's moving ahead in the army, and he can be the chief of staff. So Ayub is just one example. We have a Muslim in the Supreme Court.
You have a Muslim who's worked his way up to the Supreme Court representation.
Supreme Court, yeah, Khaled Kaboub. We have heads of hospitals here in Naharia, 25 minutes from here. And you can do in Israel everything as a Druze or as a Muslim, and you can move up in the army and up in the political system or at any any institution.
Can I just ask you, because again there's a view from the UK and things that I continually read about this state. Could an Arab Muslim living in the state of Israel, could them work their way up all the way to the top to eventually one day possibly even become prime minister of this state?
There is no legal limitations to be prime minister. There is no legal limitation to be the chief of staff. There is no legal limitation to be the head of the Supreme Court. It's based on your talent and based on your capabilities. And I'm very proud to have senior commanders from the Druze community. I am very honored that we have also Muslims that are serving in high positions. And I think that there's a propaganda war that goes against the state of Israel. And many people, they have zero understanding of the reality on the ground, zero of understanding of the real facts. And this little tour that we have here in Khurfesh, and just to see the cemetery, reveals many facts that I wish that more people would know.
Can we just ask what this is here? Because this is we went to the Holocaust Museum, it seems like the same end.
Yeah.
Is there, what's this here?
These are basically the names of all the casualties. Some of them we were just from the village. Okay. From the village. So we have here Colonel Nabi Ameri, we have the police commander Kamil Shanan, Mahmoud Khiradin we spoke about from a top secret unit. Samer Hassin also felt in battle. Nabi Ameri in Gaza. That's it.
One other point, you just answered the question about the state of Israel, that an Arab or a Druze or a minority or a Christian could work their way up to the top. Could a Jew work their way up to the top in the surrounding countries that border Israel?
Well, absolutely not. One of the facts that people almost don't know about is that before the establishment of the State of Israel, during the late 30s, the 40s, and after the establishment of the State of Israel, most of the Jewish communities in Syria, in Lebanon, in Egypt, in Iraq, they were destroyed, and the Jews left the country. So we have almost 0 Jews in Lebanon, 0 Jews in Syria, 0 Jews in nearly 0 Jews in Egypt, and these communities fled because of pogroms. In Iraq, we had the Farhud in 1941, a huge pogrom. More than 100 Jews were slaughtered without weapons. Yeah, I'm speaking about knives and axes. They were slaughtered like sheep in Baghdad and other communities in Iraq, and that's it. That was the end of many Jewish communities in the Arab world. 800,000 Jews fled the Arab countries. Some of them went to the US, Europe, and some of them came here to Israel.
You'd think only Jews can vote. You'd think all these things, yeah? You'd think that these communities are discriminated against. They clearly aren't. And I also learned, which was something I knew as well, but I learned that when the war kicked off in Syria after October 7th, Israel started bombing Syria, and the leader of the Druze, the mayor of the Druze community on this border, said that they had gone to the Israeli government to ask them to please protect their people. Because how many people are aware that there was a genocide being committed, and still is, in Syria by jihadists who are burning villages of Druze and villages of Christians. They're targeting the minority and Alawites. They're targeting them all. They're literally massacring them, raping them, pillaging them. So it was the Druze community who are in northern Israel, who have been here for thousands of years, who have had a close relationship with the Jewish community for thousands of years prior to the state of Israel, biblically linked, and that they approached the Netanyahu government and begged them, go in and save our people. This gentleman was on the forefront of getting that message out to the public. I just understand who you are.
Shalom, Amir.
שלום.
Shalom.
תגיד כמה מילים על עצמך.
אני אמיר ואני עורך דין במקצוע שלי, איש צבא 30 שנה, פנסיונר צבא, ואני היום עורך דין.
Amir is a lawyer, served for 30 years in the military, and as you mentioned, he was heavily involved in bringing the information from Syria, from Sweden, into the government and into the media here in Israel. So we can discuss it with him and ask him questions regarding Syria.
Can we understand how difficult was it to get the media to pick up and actually report on what was happening there?
כמה זה היה קשה בעצם לקבל סיקור תקשורתי בעולם על מה שקורה בסווידה?
היה לנו מאוד מאוד קשה לקבל סיקור, במיוחד שאנחנו עדה קטנה, ואנחנו עדה שכל הזמן, כל החיים שלה לאורך ההיסטוריה דגלה בשלום ובדו-קיום. אבל מה שקרה לנו בסווידה, זה הפתיע אותנו מאוד. פתאום ראינו אנשים ששונאים אותנו, אנשים שהרגו אותנו, אנשים שערפו לנו ראשים, אנשים שאנסו אותנו, אלה שחיינו איתם, וזה ממש הבהיל אותנו, ולא ציפינו לזה.
So he's saying because the community is quite small, there's a community in Syria, Lebanon, here in Israel, and a small diaspora outside of in Europe, etc. And because it's a small community, it was very, very difficult to spread the message. It got almost no cover in Europe. And what he's saying that they were heavily surprised from what happened in Sweden. It was a very calm, very peaceful community. That all of a sudden, after the Ashara took power, they were butchered by their neighbors, raped, people were beheaded, and the atrocities are extremely horrific. And there's endless footages that we can see on social media, but it didn't get to the established media.
So just overnight, neighbours turned on neighbours, as in the Muslim neighbours just started attacking and butchering the community.
Yeah, exactly.
העיתונות הערבית פשוט התעלמה מהטבח שקורה בסווידה, ולצערי גם העיתונות באירופה לא מספיק סיקרה את האירועים בסווידה, ואנחנו נהרגנו, נדבחנו, והעולם כמעט שתק.
Both Arab media and European media were silent regarding the massacre in Syria, and the world was kept silent during the massacre.
Why does he think that was? Why does he think the media refused to report on this genocide?
אני חושב קודם כל האינטרס הפוליטי של המדינות האלה שיחק לטובת השרע. יש איזה משהו שהוא יותר גדול מאיתנו, ואנחנו היינו קורבן לדבר הזה.
The political and strategic interest of European countries was different than bringing the information. There's something about Ashara. We saw that many European leaders went shake his hand, and legitimized him, basically.
David Lammy went out, shook his hand and said this is a great new leader, whilst that leader's men were massacring and raping these people and killing them. Can I understand, when this was happening, who helped them?
מי עזר לכם בעצם כשהיה את הטבח?
היחידים שעזרו לנו, קודם כל זה ישראל, שלא רק עזרה בדיבורים, עזרה במעשים. פשוט העלתה מטוסים לאוויר והתחילה לעצור את הטבח. אחרת, היום לא היה דרוזים בסוריה. הדרוזים זה עדה של שלום, כל החיים שלה חיה בשלום. אבל מה שקורה היום, המצב היום, זה הקיצוניות התגברה על כל דבר, והקיצוניים משתלטים על כל העולם. וזה מאוד מפחיד אותנו כעדה קטנה.
So, Israel was the first and the only to help. Israel sent jets to bomb the Ashara forces. Israel also bombed Damascus headquarters of Ashara military. And besides Israel, there was no one there to support the community. He also mentioned how peaceful is the community. And we are seeing that extremism is taking power, not just in Syria, but all across the Middle East and also in the Muslim communities outside of Israel. And that's created a lot of tension and fear among the among the Jews minority.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I...
הדרוזים בסוריה, וחשוב מאוד לציין, בזמן מלחמת סוריה מ-2011 עד 2022, הם ערכו 250,000 עקורים מתוך סוריה להר הדרוזים, ואותם עקורים קמו על העדה. אותם עקורים.
It's saying that during the civil war, there was a heavy civil war in between the Islamists and Bashar Assad, and 250,000 refugees, Muslim refugees, fled into the region of Sweda. And those same refugees who fled into Sweda, the moment they won the war and took power, participated in the massacre against the Jews.
Persecution of non-Jews in Israel, whether it's your personal experience on the ground as being a non-Jew, what you've witnessed, and what you're hearing and seeing on the ground. How would you respond to those that say online, even in your comments?
I'll just respond to them. Have you ever been to the state of Israel? Have you ever spoke to any Muslims living in Israel, Arabs? Which I'm going to try and do later. I want to go to the mosque when we get back. Yeah, I want to go to the mosque in Tel Aviv, stand around, speak to some people. But I have heard, I'm excited because I love my food, I have heard that the Druze are far better chefs than the Jews, apparently, according to Avi.
If you think it's important for the world to see the persecution of non-Jews in Israel from a trusted face like Tommy Robinson, who has no reason to lie, make sure to like, comment, and share it far and wide. And if you support our mission here on the ground, following Tommy Robinson, because BBC, Sky, and all the other fake news are lying about this trip, head over to TommyInIsrael.com to check out our other reports from what Tommy's actually doing here. And if you support it, please consider chipping in to help us cover the cost, because no matter what they say online, we don't get paid $7,000 a post. I wish we would. It's actually quite expensive to be here. We take no money from any government. In fact, I'm actually legitimately happy not to be paid by any governments or any NGOs, so that way we can stay completely independent and we get to report what we see and how we want it. And the only people we're accountable to is you and the truth. So TommyInIsrael.com. If you like what we're doing here, please consider chipping in to help us cover those enormous costs to be here.